The book of Revelation ends with the last messenger of God, Jesus Christ, the only Son of God. Just as the last messenger of God in Genesis was called Joseph. Joseph of the New Testament is the adoptive father of Jesus. He married his biological mother Mary. You will see why I mention him later. Continuing, Genesis is the youth of God. His first work and his first narration. He completed everything with Joseph, his finality. Genesis is the beginning of God and the first steps of God. His first steps are his first writings. The name Joseph is the homonym of the first name Jesus. Jesus is the only one in the Bible to have called himself by this first name. Just as Allah mentions the name Yahya in the Quran. Yahya is John. And it is said that it was a name then and used until then. The name Joseph has the same meaning as the name Hosea. Joseph means I dare. In the simple past I dared. In Arabic and English, Yusuf means yourself. Question: what did God try to do with Joseph by giving him this name? Answer: God completed his story, his Genesis with Joseph. Joseph is the liberator of his father Israel. Joseph is the liberator of his nation Israel. Liberator of his 11 brothers and the 12 tribes of Israel. He gave them a land in Egypt. Just as today's Messiah fights with Israel for the liberation of their lands in Palestine and their occupied territories in the West Bank. The world ended with Joseph. And it was a good ending. Genesis ends well with Joseph. It's a story that ends like this, and they lived happily ever after and had many children. Until the end of time. Let's go back to Joseph's journey since his preface. To understand how he was able to accomplish what he accomplished. Joseph was the 11th son of Israel. 11th of 12. And his younger brother Benjamin was the 12th son. The smallest. Both had the same mother, Rachel. Joseph was the favorite son of his father Israel. 'Cause he was born in the old age and advanced age of Israel. And that is why Israel pampered him, cajoled him, and spoiled him. It ended up making Joseph's brothers jealous of Joseph, and jealous of his younger brother Benjamin. Joseph's brothers then plotted against Joseph to get rid of him. And the opportunity was not long in coming. They took action by throwing Joseph into a deep well during a hike. A well is like an abyss, especially for deep wells. This well in particular refers to the devil's abyss in the Bible. The reference in question is that of Satan, who was thrown like lightning into the underground abyss. It is written in Isaiah chapter 14 verses 12 to 32, "How you have fallen from heaven, you bright morning star! How you have been thrown to the ground, you who conquered the nations! You said to yourself, I will ascend to heaven, I will set my throne higher than the stars of God, I will sit on the mountain where the gods hold their council in the far north. But you have been cast down to the grave, to the depths of the pit. Those who see you will gaze upon you, they will consider you. Is this the man who made the earth tremble? Who shook kingdoms? Who made the world a wilderness? Who ravaged cities? And did not release his prisoners? All the kings of the nations, yes, all of them lie in honor, each one in his own grave. But you have been cast out of your grave, like a branch that is despised, like the remains of those slain with the sword, and cast down on the stones of a pit, like a corpse that is trampled underfoot. You are not gathered with them in the grave. For you have destroyed your land, you have destroyed your people. The seed of the wicked will never be spoken of again. Prepare the slaughter of the children because of the iniquity of their fathers. Let them not rise again to possess the earth, and fill the world with enemies. I will rise up against them, declares the Lord of hosts. I will destroy the name and the trace of Babylon, and her descendants and her posterity, declares the Lord. I will make her a place for hedgehogs and a marshland. And I will sweep her away with the broom of destruction, declares the Lord of hosts. The Lord of hosts has sworn, saying, Yes, as I have planned, so it will be. As I have planned, so it will be done. I will break the Assyrian in my land. I will trample him underfoot on my mountains. And his yoke will be taken away from them, and his burden will be taken off their shoulders. This is the purpose against the whole earth. This is the hand stretched out against all the nations. The Lord of hosts has purposed, who can thwart it? His hand is stretched out, who can turn it back? In the year of King Ahaz's death, this oracle was pronounced, "Do not rejoice, Philistine country, 'cause the rod that struck you is broken. For from the root of the serpent will come a basilisk, and its fruit will be a flying dragon. Then the poorest will be able to graze, and the unfortunate will rest in safety. But I will kill your root by hunger, and what remains of you will be killed. Gruan gote, lamin siti, tremble all Philistine country, for from the north comes a smoke, and the ranks of the enemy are closed. And what will be answered to the messengers of the people? That the Lord has founded Zion, and that the poor of his people find refuge there." By this single passage of Joseph in the well I concluded the anecdote of the devil. 'Cause yes, Joseph was seen as a devil by his brothers. In view of his apparent beauty, the seducer of their father and his fluorescent tunic like the sun, the devil's abyss in the story of Joseph is a well. Just as the Philistines in the narration of Isaiah can be interpreted as present-day Palestine, Philistine is therefore Palestine, just as the name of Joseph is the homonym of the name of Jesus. Philistine is the homonym of the name of Palestine. Follow this story, which highlights current events in the Middle East, and in particular the Gaza-Israel conflict. God says that he will make a place for Israel, and that he will be on Israel's side, 'cause God has chosen Israel, and this since his youth in Genesis. The devil will come out of his abyss as Joseph came out of his well. Then he will be resurrected and perform miracles and wonders for the Pharaoh. God will give him the gift of divination, and he will be the advisor of the king, of the Pharaoh king of Egypt. His people will then have found the Holy Land so promised to Moses by God, and so promised to Israel, and this since the lineage of Abraham. His brothers will be satisfied and so on reconciled with Joseph, and Joseph will get the name of the Messiah, which for the Jews means king, king from a kingdom.